reason I would take Rashford and Bruno out is two reasons. One, I genuinely believe it'll improve our team right now, 110%. But there's a secondary matter that comes to this because Man United fans are what I call too individualistic. They focus on, because I'm still not convinced dropping Rashford and Bruno in the medium to long term will improve us like some people think. But I want it tested. So if we win and we look better, great. We don't get the permanent answer, but we get an answer. If we drop them and we're just as bad without them, then we can just drop the stupid agendas and focus on, well, let's try and get to the root cause as a fan base. And I think sometimes it's sort of like people start digging for what the problem is and they find something that feels good, like Rashford and Bruno, or the manager's tactics, or Paul Pogba. Remember when they said if we got rid of De Gea and stopped playing Maguire, we'd become a better team? That hasn't worked out, has it? So the point is, I'm not saying it isn't those two. And I kind of hope that it is. It would be amazing to drop those two players and we click into gear and become an amazing team and we start winning everything. Then why would I not want that? I like those two as players, but Man United matters so much more to me than those two individuals. So I want it tested. I actually want it to happen for a few games, but we'll then see whether they are a genuine problem or whether or not this is a deeper system tactical issue or a player personnel issue or an attitude problem from certain. Do you get where I'm coming? If we're still losing the same way, then we know it isn't per se those two, even though they're performing badly. So I think, look, he's got to try and win the game. They're both in bad form, so there's no harm in taking them out. They should. I think it relieves tension. I almost think the fans want it as well. And I'm not saying you should just appease the fans because the fans are demanding it, but I think it will take the pressure away. Go and then win the game, and you can go into the international break. You can assess things. You can work on stuff for 2 weeks in relative silence. We'll still be in a crap position in the league. We'll still be in a horrendous start to the Champions League. But going out with a win, there'll be no crazy headlines about Man United that weekend. Lose the game.
I'm going to see you on Thursday night, Terry.
Mate, we might not even make it. We might not even make it into the Euro. Well, I say we should beat Copenhagen back to back, but there are no guarantees.
No, but you're going to beat Copenhagen, though. I think you will beat Copenhagen. But then Galatasaray away, they call that stadium hell for good reason. That fan, but you see what they did at Old Trafford. Multiply that by 80 times, by 90 times. That's basically what you're going to get. And then Bayern at home in the last. But you could beat Bayern, to be fair. You know, you could still qualify somehow. It depends what Galatasaray does against Bayern. If Galatasaray gets a draw against Bayern in one of them games, then it puts you in a more fucked up position. So that's the thing. But listen, it's not impossible. You could beat Copenhagen, either home or away, you know, and then you end up finishing third. And, you know, welcome to the Europa League. You mocked us in the summer, Thursday nights, and now you're there Thursday night.
Mate, that's what happens.
There's two things that Ten Hag needs to do to fix this mess. Number one, in the short term, stick to a system. Stick to an 11, get a consistent run going. That's why I said that same team that beat Palace 3-0, regardless whether you rate the players or not, just run it back. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we can at least say we tried. And the second thing is, in the future, this is where the ownership comes in. They need to get him a sporting director. And that's, for me, those are the two things that matter right now. Eventually, though, no matter what we say, eventually, unless Ten Hag is Spider-Man and can wiggle his way out of this, eventually he's going to get sacked. Let's just say it as it is. Eventually he's going to get sacked. And when he gets sacked, it's going to be the same cycle again. So you enjoy it up until then. And look, it's going to be long for you. Going to be long for you. And low-key, it's not his fault. Like, I don't think sacking him or bringing in a new guy is going to solve the problem magically. But hey, here we are.
No, I hear you on that. I think, again, this is where I differ from a lot of United fans online. I understand the criticisms of Ten Hag. I understand the notion of wanting him sacked, but the belief that we will become an exponentially better, more consistent and successful football team in the medium to long term with the same people running us, I can't buy into. So the idea of sacking him, although I understand it, I still believe in the medium to long term is relatively futile. It will only serve to appease things momentarily. And I'm just not about that as a person in my life. I would rather fix a problem at its root cause than anything else. Like, it's one of those things for me. I'll talk about this openly about myself. When I'm getting a lot better now, but I was suffering with what they call cardio cardiophobia. It's a form of hypochondria where I think about heart attacks a lot. And it was giving me panic attacks. And what they gave me to help stop this was some beta blockers, which essentially stop your heart from beating above a certain amount. I didn't just take the beta blockers. Oh, I'm fixed now. I started working on the root cause problems that were making me think about it. So a lot of it was me exercising, trying to get myself fit again, eating better. And since I had to do that, if I just took the beta blockers, yes, they stopped me from having the panic attacks in the short term, but they wouldn't stop the underarching fears that I had. I had to push through those barriers. And now I'm feeling so much better than I was. But it wasn't because I took a short-term fix, which would have been the beta blocker. I had to fix the root cause problem. I had to address the personal issues that I had to become better. And I suppose that's how I view the issues with Man United, that you just can't sack the manager at Man United and expect the world to become brilliant. I just don't believe it's the case at all. There's a couple of comments here that says, that's a mad statement. Højlund played well, but one of the best United number 9 displays in a decade is crazy to me. But it isn't, because we haven't had that many. There haven't been very many games where our number 9 in that match has been, wow, the hold-up play, bringing others in, being powerful, direct, scoring a brace, nearly got himself a hat-trick, very marginally offside. This hasn't happened very often at Man United. In big games, Champions League, big Premier League clashes, there've been some really good ones, but over a 10-year period, I bet you could be hard-pushed to find 10. So one a year, this is why it stands out to me personally. And as a Man United fan, I'm always going to view it differently to you, Carl B. You're an Arsenal fan. You don't know what it feels like to be a Man United fan. And I'm telling you, that performance from him was electric. I could just tell by how I celebrated that second goal compared to how I celebrated most goals by Man United, even in the last 3 to 4 years. There was a euphoria around. There was a feeling. Terry, you said Onana would improve your back line. Has it worked? Well, obviously not. That's because, for me, though, it's nothing to do. Where we were conceding a lot of goals, I could explain this with De Gea. We conceded similar goals with De Gea and Onana in terms of bad goalkeeping errors, in terms of you should have saved that. This notion that De Gea wasn't making terrible shot-stopping errors last season alone is a lie. He was. But I really felt that bringing in the goalkeeper, playing the way we want to, would make us more press-resistant, which would, a lot of our goals came from being pressed and losing possession high up the pitch, or we'd lose the possession from the goalkeeper kicking the ball back needless out. We'd lose possession and teams would attack us. I believe that would stop. And on large, that has stopped. Where our problem has been this season is we're getting caught in transition. We're out of shape all the time, and we're getting the amount of cutback goals we're conceding. So it's a different problem that this is now generated. So again, Maradon, you're right to call it out. I've been wrong in the thought that we'd concede less goals with Onana. But we're not conceding the goals in the same way as last year. It's created an additional problem, which at the time, I had faith in my manager and his coaching team to not make this mistake of overextending the team and leaving us vulnerable to these counterattacks. And the fact they still haven't addressed it since this has been happening since day one of the season is really concerning to me. So Onana isn't the reason for a large amount of these goals being conceded. It's the shape of the team. Now, what then happens is he's had a couple of mistakes that he should have. The one against Bayern Munich that fell through him, the pass out the other day. I look at those 2 errors and say to myself, you should be doing so much better there. But you throw that in with all the other goals that have been conceded, and it looks like a massive issue with the goalkeeper, where he's definitely at fault for some, but it's more of a problem with our shape. If we were playing a little deeper and we're in better shape, we wouldn't have conceded a fraction of the goals that we have, and the focus wouldn't be as much on the goalkeeper. But you are right. It hasn't worked how I thought it would, but it isn't. We aren't conceding goals in the same way as last year, so we need to be intellectually honest about that. No chance they sack a manager now during a takeover.
Where's the takeover?
Yeah, I mean, we're no closer to that being resolved. So yeah, I agree.
We spoke about that since January, bro. Like, how long ago did we start those takeover stuff? Like
November.
How many
November.
you guys
November
got?
Started.
And by the way, it's actually more likely that a manager gets sacked after a takeover. More likely. Like, if you notice when clubs first get taken over, there's a very high possibility that the manager gets sacked. That's the ultimate reality of takeovers, because they want their own guys. And even Terry will tell you that. It's probably a thing where, like, the manager will probably more likely than not get sacked.
I just want to interject for a minute here. So news has just broke out from Manchester United about the passing of Sir Alex Ferguson's wife, Kathy, who very, very dear to him, has passed away today. The club has released a statement here saying that we are deeply saddened to confirm the passing of Lady Kathy Ferguson, survived by her husband, 3 children, 2 sisters, and 12 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. The family have asked for privacy at this time. So I'm not going to delve into it anymore because the family are asking for privacy. But yeah, a massive, huge condolences to the Ferguson family, to Sir Alex Ferguson himself, who is, of course, one of my and will be forever one of my heroes. Him and his wife together, I don't even know how many years. You're probably talking 50 to 60 years that them two have been together. So yeah, huge commiserations to him and his family there. And I mean, one of the biggest reasons he retired actually was to be with his wife. And he has done. She was, yeah. So yeah, very, very sad news indeed. Very, very sad news indeed.
Yes, condolences to Alex Ferguson and the family.
Sir Alex Ferguson. His name. Get the name right. Defensive. We'll go back talking football here. Defensive errors are the problem, not Bruno and Rashford.
Again, that's BS. I'm gonna call you out on that.
Yeah, that's
too
far.
BS. You cannot be that. I'll tell you why you can't be one-dimensional. Bruno didn't play well last game or the game before. Same with Rashford. Rashford missed a sitter against Galatasaray. And by the way, the one time he should have shot, he passed, and the pass was wrong. So it's not like it's not like they're performing. They're not performing, and it's not just defensive errors. 100%, it's them also underperforming. Because you know what it is? Me and Terry have both in the summer said Mason Mount will fail at Man United. We just said last 2-3 games he's not to blame. We just said it. Did we not just say this 10 minutes ago? Mason Mount played well, so he doesn't deserve to get dropped. But Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, are they to blame for Man United conceding 3 goals? No. But are they to blame for the overall shape and performance of the team? 100% they are, which actually relates back to them conceding goals and stuff. So
no, I completely agree that, you know, Rashford got to work harder at times, Bruno as well, both lacking in those areas. They've also both failed to convert an abundance of chances that would have given us leads in games, that would have put us ahead in matches, that would have killed things off. And I know we ended up scoring again after that point, but even the Rashford, the cutback to Bruno, again, if you're going to make that cutback, you've got to get it right. You should, in my opinion, be shooting from that position. You really should be, and you didn't. All those things are problems. And I just think it's not even about what you have to do right now as the manager is go, right, we know that we've got Garnacho and Martial. You'll have Ericsson or Mount that's desperate to play in Bruno's position. Give them a chance to prove that they can do a better job. 100%. That meritocracy will improve us as a football team. It 110% will improve us as a football team. So look, Rashford and Bruno are not the reasons we're bad overall, but they are a reason. And again, that's the individualistic nature of Man United fans. Some will say, drop Rashford and Bruno will be perfect. I don't believe that either. I still think there's going to be a lot of teething problems. It's never quite as simple and as straightforward as just drop one person.
Team chemistry wise, you probably look better. I mean, so far we only have one sample size, which is 3-0 Palace. So that's why I'm saying you need to run it back.
Yeah, no, listen, I hear you. I hear you. Maradon says, Terry, you tried to compare Bruno to KDB and Rashford to Mbappe. That's also very shameless. Well, I've said for many years on here that Rashford isn't as good as Mbappe. So again, that's a misrepresentation of what I've said. About 6 or 7 years ago, there's content out there where I said he had the ability to become one of the best attackers in the Premier League. And I do think he had the ability to do that. But what someone has ability to do 6-7 years ago isn't the same as me saying he would do that. When it comes to KDB and Bruno, if Bruno Fernandes had joined Man City 4 years ago, and hadn't come to Man United, Bruno would have gone to that club and scored and assisted the way he did at United, but maintained it. Bruno Fernandes in his first 2.5 years at Manchester United was emphatic. He was inevitable. He was absolutely out of this world. And he's still a creative monster now, but he has been part of a team and a club that has ruined every talent that has arrived. So I will not apologize for my take when it comes to Bruno Fernandes. If he would have joined a better run club with a more stable system, Bruno Fernandes wouldn't have just gone in there and smashed it. He would have maintained that quality. Equally, by the way, if KDB 5 years ago, 6 years ago joined Man United, we would not be talking about him right now as one of the best midfielders in Premier League history, because he would have come in and started well and he would have declined like every other signing the club has made in a decade. So again, you can't take something I said 5-6 years ago and talk about it now as if I still hold those same beliefs, because players can get injuries. The club can take somebody backwards. And when I was praising Bruno, he was up there with some of the best attacking midfielders in the world. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. The Bruno we see right now wasn't... People try and pretend like this is what we've always had from Bruno. That's a fundamental lie. It's a fundamental lie. It really, really is. It's an absolute lie.
100%.
But there we go. But yeah, we have to win this weekend, and we'll see what happens with it.